Free practice 2 about to boot underway here. Now this session it's going to be a bit more indeed. Now I'm just going to wait for everybody to come in and I'll be back in about 30 seconds. Here we go, the Bahrain Grand Prix circuit, bringing up just under 2.5 kilometers of racetrack, and we are about to boot FP2 back into action here this week. And we have got Bahrain. There were 3 DRS zones, one down the back straight, one down the front straight, and one in practically the middle of the circuit coming out of turn 10 and up into turn 11. We've got 3 compounds of tyres. We have the C1, the C2 and the C3. Hard, medium and soft. But of course, not as much life in the soft compound tyre. Get ready for free practice 2 here this morning, here this afternoon. It is just under about 4 p.m. my time. So I'm going to get ready for free practice 2. Now this is going to give us a bit more of an indication because everybody's going to be in the cars and they're all going to be practically at their best here in this session. So this one should get quite interesting. We have a track temperature of about 36 degrees. 5Ks with about north and northeast wind, so it's practically heading down the front straight. So it's going to give you a bit more straight line speed, but 36 track temperature, 86 Fahrenheit. As we get ready for this second session here this evening. I'm going to be very much booting into the night here this evening. Now, of course, FP2 about to kick underway here as this is practically going to be a bit of a qualifying session here. So we're going to get a true indication. We saw Lando Norris. He put in that time of a 1:33.4 in that last session. That is the critical time here. Can we see anything faster than that? Of course, we've had F3, we've had Formula 3, we've had Formula 2, we've had Porsche out on the circuit. I'm guessing Porsche. I'm going to have a wild guess at that. I'm going to say Porsche was out on the circuit. A wild guess here. Say Porsche was out on the circuit before this second practice session. Of course, we've just had Formula 2 qualifying session, so a bit of a fast flowing session from the FIA Formula 2 cars. Plus, we've had Formula 3. So it's been a bit of a fast fire few sessions between qualifying and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was definitely interesting between Formula 3 and Formula 2. So now a bit more rubber put down, and now this is going to be the true indication here of where the qualifying pace sits. Between every single car out there, I'm going to guess those McLaren still looks quick, surprisingly. I mean, last year they didn't start off the best, but at the end of the back end of the year they went really strong. So this year I reckon they've got it in them to take the championship. Here, and I know I'm thinking really early because it's round 4 of the Formula 1 World Championship, but I'm really thinking ahead at this point. And yeah, just thinking ahead, you know. But yeah, at the end of FP1 we did see a lot of soft tyre running. That included Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda also popped up there as well, quite surprisingly. So Yuki was quick. I'm going to say. Yuki was quick. He was definitely quick. But now we're about to see the true performance of each and every single driver out there. This session, for people like Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, all those sorts of people, this is going to be a bit of a... They're going to go in blind here because it's practically going to be their first time out there for the weekend. Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. So this session is going to be an FP1 for them. And then their next session is going to be their FP2, their FP3. So it's really now, you've got to put your head down. You've got to be out there for much of the session as you possibly can. Because if you aren't out there, for those people like Leclerc, Verstappen, you're going to lose a bit of track time here. So both McLaren drivers are perfectly fine. They have plenty of track time, and they've got a whole hour a bit earlier on this afternoon. So yeah, they practically got a whole hour out there. So both the McLaren drivers seem to be fine. And for Lando Norris, he seems quick. So he's he's going out there on the hard compound tyre to get his session underway. Of course, you can join the conversation, #BahrainGP. Thanks to Salesforce, join the conversation, #BahrainGP. You can join that conversation and see what that's like. We're about to see a bit of a... Oh, this is going to be a practice start here from Lando Norris. Lando's about to do a practice... Is he about to do... I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, so he was doing a practice start there. Okay. There you go. Charles Leclerc. This is on his L. Oh, so that car's bottoming out in the front. And so when the car bottoms out like that, you can just... I just saw just then the car was bouncing up and down. That's the car bottoming out. And then practically what happens there is the front tires lock up and you practically go straight on because from the bouncing of the car, it doesn't like it. The car genuinely does not like that bouncing. It just doesn't seem to... It just doesn't like it. Genuinely just doesn't like it. As a car. So, yeah. But FP1 was a good first session to be live for. I mean, there wasn't a red flag. There wasn't grass fires. I did say that at the end of FP1. There wasn't grass fires. There is no grass around here at Bahrain, so we don't have to worry about that. Unlike Japan, when we saw FP2, there was a grass fire. FP1, there was a grass fire. FP3, grass fire. Qualifying, there was even a grass fire. I think there was a grass fire in every single section, except for the Porsches. So how unlucky for Formula 1 to get every single grass fire, except for both Porsches. It was Porsche Japan and Porsche Middle East. Porsche Japan and Porsche Middle East were out there, and that's just insane. Charles Leclerc goes fastest at the moment, 1:33.3, compared to last session of a 1:33.4. So the track temperature has majorly dropped here, and Max Verstappen heads out on the soft compound tyre. So the track conditions have majorly dropped here. Now the fastest first sector in that last session was a 29.7. 29.7. Leclerc has done a 29.8. Gasly's now just gone to the top here. So that is called... The track temperature has come down so much. I reckon the track temperature was up near the 50-degree mark. But now the sun is going down. It's just off in the background there. There's not as much UV on the circuit, which is a bit of a surprise. Max Verstappen, he slides sideways coming out of turn 10. So he had a massive opposite lock moment coming out of turn 10. So that's quite strange. Now, is he... No. Does he have a problem? I'm going to guess he doesn't. No, I don't think he has a problem. I don't think that car has a problem. But that was a massive opposite lock moment there from Max Verstappen. He came out of turn 10. So he came into turn 10. And then he came out the other side and just slid sideways 1:33.4 from that last session was Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton has done a 1:32.1. Here's the replay, turn 10. This is turn 8 into turn 9. As close as he can to the outside of the road, and I think he's just carried too much speed. He tried to get on the throttle early. I don't know, the ride height is very bad. The car is jumping a lot. So that's okay. So he's saying there the ride height is really bad. So the car's just bouncing heading into. It's almost like the car's bottoming out, but it isn't bottoming out. George Russell led 59 laps at his venue on Mercedes' debut. He is standing in for Hamilton in 2020. Of course, that was back in COVID. It's crazy. COVID was 5 years ago, and you think about it now, and we're in 2025. It's like, god damn, boy. Now, most of the drivers out there, for example, George Russell, he wasn't out there in that last session. So he's doing what everybody else was doing in FP1. So they're a bit further behind in terms of their progress for some people. But yeah, it's good to watch. But we did see a few rookies out there in that last session. And they also seemed quick. I mean, it wasn't extraordinarily quick, but yeah. But there were definitely a few quick rookies out there. 53 and a half minutes to go in this session. Not really, at this point, worried about the times, but I was just shocked at the fact that 1:33.3, which is at the moment... Portoletto is done a 1:33.5. So the track temperature has majorly dropped here, which is quite... It's shock. I don't know why. I just found it shocking at first. I was like, god damn. It was a major shock to the system. George Russell's out there at the moment. He's personal best in the first and second sector. He's definitely going to improve on this lap. He's currently averaging third from the computer screen at the moment. He's saying it's third, and it does. He pops up to third, and he's done 1:32.5 to put him into third position. Good job from Kimi Antonelli early on in this session, but again, that was on the soft compound tyre. He's done a 1:32.2, 1:32.298. So 1:32.299 to put him second. George Russell, Oscar Piastri, Pierre Gasly up there, fifth on the hard tyres. This is Fernando Alonso. He's a bit slow. Now, I don't know if that's for traffic or if he has genuinely a problem in that car. Is his radio? Changed the steering wheel. There's a problem with the steering wheel. It's switching off. Oh. So the steering wheel is switching off on Fernando Alonso. Now, that is not helpful. That is definitely not helpful in free practice 2. That is, by the way, this is Fernando Alonso's first time out on track today. So it's not helpful that he is having problems with his steering wheel. That must be an electrical drama. I think that Aston Martin has an electrical drama. Now, we did see, I'm not sure, but I think it was it was Kimi Antonelli last session. Yes, it was Kimi Antonelli. Last session, he had a problem. He also had the exact same electrical gremlin, but I don't think it was with the steering wheel. I think he was just losing power. So, that is definitely a bit strange. But watch out for Max Verstappen as well, because he hasn't done a lap. He's down there in 19th here. But Liam Lawson at the moment, he's out there in 12th, and he's starting a lap at the moment. So we're just going to line on board here with Liam Lawson. But yeah, there has been a few electrical gremlins so far this weekend. Kimi Antonelli, one of them. But good job from both Mercedes cars as well. They're P2 and P3 early on in FP2. So promising signs for the Mercs. Now, of course, this session is going to be a bit more indicative as to where everybody stands in terms of pace. Yes, this session's quite important for everybody. Lando Norris, sideways coming out of turn 8 and into turn 9. And again, okay, so I thought that was the bumping that we saw from Max Verstappen, but that time it was just straight, tight, front left, locked up on him. Now, sometimes that can be because of possibly a bit too much front wing. So a bit too much front downforce there for Lando Norris. Maybe a bit too much rear downforce in that car. So that can be possibly a thing, but something that needs to be tuned there for the McLaren driver of Lando Norris. But he's currently down there in P8. This is his radio. I need to swap helmets and swap hands device, and clean the headrest, please. So just complaining there that his hands device is you can't see out of the visor really. So struggling with a bit of sight, which that is quite important if you think about it. I mean, you need to be able to see, especially heading into the late hours of the night, especially in the race. But the lighting running at Bahrain is insane. So most 90% of the time you should be able to see everything. So yeah, this is a cool shot from up above, seeing Leclerc, and that is Lando Norris. Leclerc at the moment, he's about 0.2 off Hamilton. He's done a 9.2 to that second sector. In the first sector, he's about 0.3 off. So he's about 0.5 off in general off of Hamilton. But it's a PB to the first sector. He might actually improve. He's understeered coming out of the final corner and he's come into the pits. So that first indication lap from Leclerc is a 32.6. Verstappen at the moment down in 19th. He's not... this is a better lap than what he did before. He put him up to P3. He's about 0.2 off and he's done a 132.376. So that's put him right up there. And that was his second lap in a row on those soft compound tyres. So I won't be surprised if that tyre has taken the best out of it. It probably has, to be honest. So don't expect any more laps out of that soft rubber. Leclerc, just running a bit wide coming out of the final corner. That is turn 13. So that's a bit of a problem. But so that's practically what made him come in there. This is Oscar Piastri. This is Lando Norris as he comes down into turn 1 and front left. So he's struggling with that front left locking up there heading into turn 1. And it's also the same at turn 10. So he's turn 1 and turn 10 for Lando Norris, struggling majorly with locking up with 46 minutes to go. Rio Hirokama, he was out there in that last session and he did pretty well. I think he finished about 13th or 14th in that first session. So not a bad start at all for the young man. He started off in LMP2, moved to F3, and now he's just got the opportunity. So I think he's actually now moved to F2. So, and of course he just finished in the Formula 2 qualifying session. He didn't do too bad in Formula 3. I think he came third in Formula 3 to move himself up into Formula 2. So not a bad start for him. Also made his way into LMP2 as well. Started off in LMP2, which is quite cool to be racing a GT car like that. George Russell, at the moment, he's about 4 thousandths faster than Hamilton in that first sector. He's done an amazing time, actually. So, at the moment, Russell's better than Antonelli up at turn 4, turn 10, and down the straights. So, and then you see Antonelli turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, turn 10, turn 12. So it's 50-50 between Russell and Antonelli. So they're at par at the moment. Russell at the moment fastest to the second sector by 5 thousandths over Hamilton. This lap, if he can continue it, and not lock those front tyres heading into the final corner. He will go to the top of the timings. He does pretty well coming out of the final corner. This is a fresh set of softs, and this is going to be a quick lap. He's going to put it together. What's the lap going to be? It's going to be a 1:31.9. The first 31 of the weekend, 1:31.945. He owns the first, the second, and the third sector. He actually only owns the first two sectors, so not as big of a margin. But is that coming out of turn 1? Yes, that's coming out of like turn 2. Coming out of the turn 2 area. So this is one of the kick salvers of Nico Hulkenberg. He's had a pretty good lap in FP1. I think he did a 33.7 in that first session. He's at the moment done a 32.9, 1:32.9. So sorry, he's done a one. Yeah, so he's done about the time that Lando did in FP1. So I think he's about a tenth or two faster, which isn't bad. But Lando's going a second quicker than what he did in FP1. It's Russell, Hamilton, Antonelli, Verstappen up there in fourth. Piastri, Gasly. Gasly seems quick at the moment. The two Alpines don't seem too bad. Jack Doohan down there in 14th. Leclerc, Hadjar, Lando Norris, and Albon. So the Williams and the Alpine seem quick. The other Williams are Carlos Sainz is down there at 18th at the moment. He's about 1.5 seconds off the pace. About 1.8 seconds off. Piastri at the moment currently on a hard compound tyre lap. Will he improve? Now, I was speaking about it in FP1, but I'm not sure if it's going to play a big factor in FP2. I reckon this session is a good session to start a bit of a race run, really. I mean, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea, really. If you're doing a good race run on if you do a good race run on the hard tyres, you might get a good indication as to where you are in terms of pace. But Piastri at the moment, he's about 4 tenths off of the first sector. He's currently 5th. So 4 tenths off. So this is at the moment going to put him 4th. So it's only going to move him up a spot. By the indications of the first sector, 6 tenths. So yeah, it's not as quick to the second sector at the moment. He's currently pacing 10th. So this isn't too bad. I think Oscar's currently on a race run at the moment. But hit the apex at the final corner quite nicely. And he's come back in the pits. So good stuff for him. But Lando doing what he said he was going to do and changing out his visor. Struggling with that. There, he said that over the radio, saying that he was just struggling a little bit, but I'm guessing he's about to get back in the car. McLaren never have won in Bahrain in the previous 21 visits. That's a good fun fact for you. Great fun fact. They haven't won in the past 21 visits. Lewis Hamilton. And he's just locked up the right front tyre there and is going straight on. So that's down at turn 8. So he's hit turn 8 and then he's done the exact same thing at turn 10. But has he? I think he hasn't, but he's hit the apex quite nicely of turn 10. So not too bad. We're 20 minutes into the session. 40 minutes to go. On screen with Pierre Gasly at the moment. He's about 7 tenths off the pace. And most people at the moment are in the pit lane. Most people. Hamilton, at the moment out on circuit. He's going up at P2. He's on a race run, I feel Hamilton at the moment. He's on a race run. That second sector here is pretty astonishing. He's 0.1 up on Russell, his old teammate. He's 0.1 up. This is going to be a good lap. As he rounds the final corner. This is genuinely going to be a good lap here. This might actually even improve him. But has he? Yeah, he's lost a bit of time in the final sector. No, he hasn't. He's moved up and he's gone back to the top. 131.915. So not a bad start for Hamilton, but he's just pipped Russell by 3 thousandths over Kimi Antonelli, Verstappen, Piastri, Gasly, Leclerc. He's coming on that lap at the moment. And he's won the... Last time he won here was 2022. He won the 2022 Bahrain Grand Prix. You know, you'd think that he'd want to win it again, really. Because showing by the pace... Well, I mean, Ferrari haven't... I mean, if you compare it to China in the sprint, you saw Hamilton take his first sprint win. I mean, apart from that, though, you haven't really got much more in terms of pace. But people now are starting a bit of a soft tyre run here. Leclerc's gone to the top. Meanwhile, as I was speaking, he's gone to the top at a 131.729. Verstappen, at the moment, he's on a flyer. Albon goes to the top and he's on 131.696. So this is a bit of a qualifying run. Verstappen, though, he's currently heading into turn number 10 and coming up the side, making sure he's on the power nicely. Keep the car rolling as he heads up into turn 11, to the top part of the circuit. Yeah, so what will have happened here? So for most of these drivers, they will have probably, especially for McLaren, they would have gathered the data that they would have had at pre-season testing, and they would have just used that here. But at the moment, Verstappen is up on the first two sectors, and he seems to be going pretty quick. And he, at the moment, it's about 4 tenths up on Albon. He's going to do a really fast time here, Max Verstappen, the world champ. The 4-time world champion, Max Verstappen, is about to go to the top. He's about to do a stonking time. He does a stonking time. 131.330 to put him to the top by 0.36 of a second. And that is not a strange face. Verstappen at the top of the times. 131.3. Iwasa, he had a run in the previous session in FP1 in Verstappen's car. He didn't do too bad of a job, really. I mean, I think he was 11th or 12th, maybe a bit lower. But nice at the moment. He's on a fast first sector. He's 3 tenths up on Verstappen to the first sector. If he can nail this second sector, he might go to the top on our numbers. Piastri, watch out for him in the McLaren. He's 4 tenths up to the second sector. This is going to be a quick timing from Lando Norris. Piastri about 5 thousandths off. Bortoleto goes up into 4th. This is a fast 5 session with less than 35 minutes to go. Piastri, he's just under 4 tenths up in that first and second sector. He stitches it out of the final corner. This is going to be a quick lap. It's going to be in the 30s. It is in the 30s. 1 minute 30.6 from Lando Norris. By 6 tenths over Max Verstappen. George Russell is up in the first sector. He's magenta to the first sector. He's about to go purple to the second sector. He's going to be quick. Piastri, second sector. He's just down on Norris. He's on par with him, but he's got the fastest second sector. He's on par in the second sector. This is going to be quick. I reckon it's going to be right on with Lando Norris. He's going to do a 30.7 here. Russell, he's up in the first sector. He's on to knock off Norris if he can keep it up. He's heading through the back part of the circuit at the moment. It goes to the top. Oscar Piastri, 30.5. Kimi Antonelli at the moment, he's improving. Personal best. No, he's not. He's about 7 tenths off to that second sector. So it's not as fast to the second sector. George Russell, though, watch out for him. He's going to improve and even go to the... No, he's just missed out. Half a second off in that final sector. He lost quite a bit of time, really. Kimi Antonelli to the line. Coming out of the final corner. What's this going to be? P4 for young Kimi Antonelli, just 19 years of age. He goes to 4th. Meanwhile, Bortoletto's up in 8th. Jack Doohan goes to 9th. Oh, fast fire 30 minutes here. So, not bad. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz goes up to 6th. What a lap from him. Watch out for Tsunoda. Ocon. Hadjar goes up to 5th. Isaac Hadjar. Watch out for Leclerc as well up there in 9th. He's going to possibly, if these numbers are correct, go to, or up to first or second, if he can stitch it together out of turn 10. Get a good run, keep the traction up, but remember, you're on the soft tyres, you have plenty of grip, you have plenty of traction to out-traction yourself. Now, this second sector here, it might bump him up a few spots. Can he stitch together in the second sector? No, he's about 6/10 off. So this lap is, it's going to put him, he's PB to the second sector, 6/10. Might even put him 5th or 6th. Maybe even 4th or 3rd, really. But those two McLarens are quick. And I mean quick. Because they're just a 10th separating those two. Leclerc moves up a spot. So he's lost 3. Half a second in that final sector. Wow. Okay. Nico Hulkenberg. 1.5 seconds off to the second sector. He's 18th at the moment. So this is going to probably bump him up to about 11th or 12th. So just in behind, or maybe even in front of his teammate. He can stitch it to the final corner. Bit of understeer at the final corner. Bit of understeer and oversteer, really. And it hurt him in the final sector. He lost nearly a second. So he's only moved himself up to P15. That is a struggle there from Kick Sauber. P15. After that, they were quite strong in FP1. I don't know if it's the change of track conditions or the rubber levels have come up. I don't know, but it's probably most likely a change of track conditions here because, you know, you think of Kick Sauber, they were fastest. They were quick up there. They were 9th and 10th in FP1, and now they're 10th and 15th. So Bortoleto is outperforming Nico Hulkenberg. Now, Russell here, he's getting a little lift from the front spoiler. So the front spoiler of that car is lifting a lot, so that's not good. Ocon, to the first sector here, he's about 2/10 off here. So at the moment, he's on par with Lando Norris. Ollie Behrman up into 7th. This is Ocon's second lap. He's lost, oh my god. Now, that's first sector was on to put him P2 or P3. But in that second sector, he's nearly a second off. So, at the moment, he's on par with his teammate. Maybe 8th, if that, there in the Haas. Ocon, to the line, P14. So, there's 3/10 separating him and his teammate. Behrman up in 7th. Ocon up in 14th. Ocon down in 14th. Not up. Down in 14th. But that's gotten tighter there. So, Piastri to Ocon, it's separated by 1.3 seconds. As we take a look here at, that is Nico Hulkenberg, sliding sideways coming into turn 10. Drifting, heading into the apex of the corner. And then this is into the final corner. So this is the lap that we were just riding on board with. He ran wide, and that's what lost that second. That's what lost him that time. So that's where we were thinking to ourselves, where the flip is he lost all that time? And that's where it was. So most definitely a bit of a struggle there, but the sun has gone down even by. It's Fernando Alonso making his 50th start for Aston Martin. So this is actually Fernando's second lap, and I think he's on the softs at the moment. So everybody except Tsunoda's done a lap on the softs. He's down in 19th for Tsunoda. This is Yuki Tsunoda. He's actually just on the softs at the moment. He's P19. He's personal best in the first and second sector. Now this is going to bump him up. I'm not sure what those first two sectors are like in terms of the performance, but it doesn't seem like a bad lap. This is going to definitely put him up a few spots. Only up into 17th for Yuki, 132.0. Now, the track conditions the track has dropped a few degrees here. Now, it's dropped to about 26 degrees track temperature. And the lap time that we saw in FP1, 133.4. Now it's a 30.5. So that's nearly 3 seconds. That is nearly 3 seconds there. This is Oliver Bearman, final corner. That cornering is making me very confused. So they're struggling with a bit of cornering. So they're struggling to try and hit the apex. They're struggling to hit their apexes there. So I need to fix that down there. Haas. Gasly. The first sector, 3/10. So this is not too bad, but first sector is not the best either for Pierre Gasly. At the moment he's 10th. 10th on, at the moment, 10th. So this lap is going to put him 10th, which isn't the best of laps. Lewis Hamilton's also on a lap at the moment. He's about 30 seconds behind. He's currently done one of the fastest first sectors. So he's he's third fastest to the second sector. Gasly 1.1 seconds off. So this lap is not going to be an improvement here. No, it's not. It's not going to be an improvement. Unless he can make nearly 1.5 seconds and put him to the top. But that probably won't happen. But for Pierre Gasly, what's this lap going to be? This is going to put him nowhere. 1.8 seconds off the pace. 132.3. Hamilton on this lap here. Sideways. Heading into... Wow. That was close. Heading into turn 13. He had it fully locked as he hits it down into the final corner. Hit the braking marker. That time he just missed the apex by about 50 metres. So it's going to hurt his lap here. He's going to lose at least 3 or 4 tenths. And it puts him up to 7th. He lost 8 tenths in that lap. But yeah, not a bad lap there from Lewis. And that's popped him up into 7th. Now, Piastri, Norris, Antonelli, Verstappen, and Leclerc have all come back out. If they're on a brand new set of softs, it's risky to go out on a brand new set of softs at this point. Hulkenberg, he's at the moment on a race run, so I'm guessing this lap won't be anything special to put him up anywhere further than where he is at the moment. But unless it is genuinely a lap, see by the second sector whether or not it is. The second sector is as you come out of turn 13, which is right here, 1.5 seconds. It's his fastest second sector. It's not the fastest of the session though, so he's about 1.5 seconds off. It's going to move him 17th, if anything. Continue the lap, he will definitely move up 2 spots into 17th. On my numbers, on my calculations, it doesn't. So we lost about 6 tenths in the final sector, 132.4. So still nobody is 32.9. Nobody else is slower than Lando Norris in that first session, and that is because of the track conditions. So that is insane how much. Final corner, the brakes again just don't work. Okay, so Verstappen is struggling with a bit of braking for him. Leclerc, he's about 3 tenths off in the first sector. 3 tenths, it's his personal best in the second sector. Not so quick in the first sector. This lap might bump him up a few spots. I reckon about 4th. So that's not a bad lap. Not a bad lap. 31.04 puts him P4. So this is Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari. Braking and heading into the final corner. Just overshot it by about a metre. Overshot it by about a metre. George Russell at the moment, he needs to find about a 10 to put him. He's about a 10th faster than Antonelli. Maybe even closer to 2 tenths. So Russell in the first sector is about 2 tenths faster. Piastri 7 tenths faster, and in the third sector, Piastri's about 4 thousandths faster. So Piastri, in terms of, he's strong in Sector 2 and Sector 3 over Russell. It's just, yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Sector 2. Sector 1, Russell's really strong. But then it's Sector 2 that he struggles. So Piastri has some good straight line speed, which is obvious by the little graph that we've got on our screen. It is obvious that he's quick. Russell starts his lap here. So this is fresh out of softs. I'm going to guess there's going to be a bit of improvement in this lap. Now, Verstappen, I'm not sure if he actually went for a lap there. I'm not completely sure, but I'm going to guess he did. But then ended up coming back in. So, George Russell, opening his account at the moment, he's done a 131.1. So 131.2, his fastest lap for George Russell. He's 1.2 seconds off in the first sector. So, not 1.2 seconds off. He's Jack Doohan. So at the moment he's on par with Jack Doohan in the first sector. In terms of Jack Doohan's personal best, he's matching Jack Doohan with his personal best there. But it's yellow to the first sector, which means no improvement for the moment. And he probably won't bump up anywhere, if anything. What's this second sector going to be like? This is a cool shot. Looking around the back part of the circuit, heading into turn 13, he has back out. So 5.5 seconds. He's done a 12 ones in the second sector. So he's backed out. Unless those tyres are majorly dropped off and he's doing a race run. I'm going to guess that's what he's doing here because he's continued to push on. 6.7 seconds that lap, 37.2. So I think they're testing the DAG, which is, it's quite big around here. I mean, you think of the 1 lap performance of the softs, and then you think of it on a race run. The tire drops off so quickly. Like it's got such high DAG. The degradation around here is so big. I mean, at this point, it's worth it to start on the hards in the race. I mean, if anything, it's worth it to start the hards, if anything. So, in terms of Isaac Hadjar and Verstappen, Hadjar seems a bit quicker, which is obvious because he's 6th and Verstappen is 7th. But I don't think Verstappen has set a deal of time. He's done 131.3. 131.3. Isaac Hadjar is also on a race run, but he's on the mediums at the moment. So, it's kind of the mediums. So, he's doing a race run on the mediums. We've got Russell doing a race run on the softs. So, plenty to do. Plenty to see. Hadjar, does he improve? He doesn't. So, that was to be expected on that lap. But, yeah, quite interesting session so far. So far, there's been no red flags throughout any of these sessions. So that's good to know. And if there is one, then that's most likely going to ruin people's plans for any plans that they had, at least, for this session. Just under 17 minutes to go in this second practice session. Fernando Alonso, he's the only one lighting up the timing screens at the moment. He's personal best in the first sector. This is his first soft compound run. So he's just been gathering data in the pit lane there. So he's actually not been out there. So he must have had small program. He's about 8/10, so he's on par with Verstappen, but just a little bit slower. So he's about 8th. This lap isn't anything special, but it would definitely put him inside the top 10. Fernando Alonso, final corner. What's this lap going to be? This session for everybody is more or less like a race sort of strategy run. That's half a second lost in that final sector. That's only put him P15. So the final sector for Fernando Alonso, he struggled. I mean, see the time loss that he lost there in that final sector. That is Oh god. So people are. That was a soft. I'm not sure. Was that a? I'm guessing that was. Oh god, that was a massive lock up there from Oliver Behrman into the first corner. So that yeah. So that's really strange there from Fernando Alonso being a champion more or less. Also going to be writing down all the times here because 30.5 from Oscar Piastri. That's really quick. But yeah, most people at the moment are out on a bit of a race run. So Verstappen, he's about 0.4 faster in the low speed corners. So Verstappen will find his time in the low speed corners, and he'll find them by about 0.4 of a second. So that's interesting. Interesting indeed. I mean, find the time in the low speed. That's definitely something that will help to know that as well. Got at the moment replay of one of the McLarens locking up heading into the first corner. Help to know as well. Liam Lawson also looking up heading into the first corner. So a lot of people struggling to hit the apex of turn 1 and trying to get the car stopped. So there's also probably another few people testing a few braking markers maybe. It's risky because if you that's one risky thing is if you try and test a new braking marker and you miss that braking marker, you will go straight on and most likely go into the barrier. But of course the walls are quite far away here, so if you do end up actually running into a wall, then Lord, you are like a demon. But the walls are quite far away from you here, but when we head to Jeddah next week, it's going to be a completely different story. It's going to be, the walls are going to be right up tight, and it'll be quite easy to knock a tyre off or destroy a suspension arm. About 11.5 minutes to go here in this session. The margin 0.1 of a second between Piastri and Nice. So I think in terms of timing, the times have calmed down a little bit here. So people now just doing a bit of a race run here. I don't know if people actually go on to a new set of softs. That's a good question because if you do, you probably want to actually save them for qualifying, really. But Isaac Hadjar, this is heading down into turn 4, and he's going to look up the inside of. I'm guessing that's one of the kit cars, state kit cars. Hadjar not really happy over the radio, saying, "What is he doing, man?" So he's, as to be expected, to be quite annoyed at one of the kit cars down there, but you live and you learn. 10 minutes to go in this session here in FP2. Piastri still sits at the top by just 0.15 for a second. I don't know, but the McLarens just seem like they're quick. They just do. They just genuinely do seem like they're quick. For Oscar in that first session, he finished P10. So I don't reckon for McLaren, and when you think of the track conditions compared to P1 and FP2, there's a lot more of a differential in terms of track conditions. We've had Formula 3 and Formula 2 out there, so rubber has built up and probably marbles have started to form on the other side of the circuit. So 9.5 minutes to go. I mean, and the sunlight's gone right, so 30.5 is definitely a good time. But in qualifying, you'll see like 29.3 or 29.2s. So it's definitely not the fastest time that we will see. Here, but is quick enough. But 30.5 will probably be the knockout time in Q1. I know qualifying is for me a bit later on tomorrow, but it's just so tight. Like, there's nothing between. No, it's not tight. It's actually further than what I was expecting it to be. Between Piastri and between Nice and Russell. I mean, I knew that the McLarens were quick, but they're definitely like 4 tenths between those two. Like, yeah, it's quite interesting. But that margin will close heading into qualifying. Free practice 3 for everybody will probably be a quali sim. So you'll see a lot of qualifying laps, I reckon. Qualifying laps are going to be an important thing, most likely. Yeah, a lot of quali laps possibly in the next session. That is Lance Stroll heading off down there at turn 10. At the moment, Oscar Piastri, he's not on a brand new tyre, but I'm going to guess he's going to do a bit of a race run here. I'm going to guess he's going to do about 6 or 7 laps. That's probably going to be something he's going to do here in this session. But he's going to do about 6 or 7 laps, most likely. 7.5 minutes to go. And I'm going to be surprised if there's going to be any more improvement here from this McLaren. Turn 15. Final corner. We're going to ride on board here with this lap as we're looking from the rear wing of Oscar Piastri. 300 kilometers an hour, 185 miles per hour. Brakes down to about 40 miles per hour, about 80 kilometers. And out of turn 2 and into turn 3. And then the long front straight, 280 kilometers an hour before braking down to about 70 miles and building speed once again. So this is once again a race run for Oscar. But yeah. Session now starting just to sort of calm down in a way. It's calmed down in the last 20 minutes from that fast, rapid fire sort of most fast fire rapid times that we saw. But 5 minutes to go in this session, so this is, yeah. But these tyres here are 3 laps old from Piastri, and he's not finding anything out of them. He's finding 4.5 seconds slower than what he's done here, so he's not finding much out of them. So that's how big the degradation is on those soft tyres. And if you were to go onto the softs, it'd be with about, 2 laps to go. And it would be it'd be very much an emergency pit stop for a soft tyre, because if you go into the softs for a stint, you're not going to get anything out of it. You're going to get at least two good laps out of it, and then they're just going to die off from about lap 3. So that's sort of the indication as George Russell heads back to the highway in Bahrain. That's down at turn 10. So he's heading back to the highway in Bahrain, which I actually don't think there is one. Carlos Sainz, quickest driver in the Bahrain pre-season testing. So Williams, they're showing their pace. Carlos Sainz is up into 10th, and Albon is up in 11th. So everybody is doing a race run. So there's not much improvement in the back end of FP2. 4.5 minutes to go. The person that shocked me in terms of not moving the two Alpine cars are not up there. Yuki Tsunoda about 1.5 seconds off in FP2. And it is McLaren 1-2. McLaren are dominant here in FP2, just like they were in FP1. So it's either one McLaren driver, it's another McLaren driver. So I I think today might be the other, which is Oscar Piastri. This is Carlos Sainz's father, two-time World Rally champion. Of course, you can join the conversation thanks to Salesforce #BahrainGP. Isaac Hadjar. I'm gonna have a quick guess at this one. This is not going to be a fast lap from Isaac Hadjar. I'm gonna say it's not gonna be a fast lap, because if it was, then we'd probably see 0.1 purple to the first sector, but $5 it's a yellow to the first sector, and possibly no improvement for Isaac Hadjar. That's just a wild guess, and that wild guess was correct. He's 2.7 seconds off, and he's up in 6th. So he's 7 tenths slower than Nico Hulkenberg, who's turning 20th. So that is showing here that it is a slower time. Turn 10 for Isaac Hadjar. Here heading into the hairpin. 2.5 minutes to go here in this one. So, if anything, there's no improvement in this one. Absolutely none. Absolutely no improvement in this session. But everybody was on a soft. Everybody's done their fast lap on a soft tyre, which they've done now. They've done one quali sim in FP1, which, you know, that's practically the only daylight session that these drivers are going to get. And then it's FP2 in the night, FP3 in the night. Qualifying, I think qualifying's in the day. I think we should be fine for qualifying. Qualifying's in the night. Qualifying is most likely in the night for Formula 1. So, Peter Bayer, the CEO of the Racing Bulls, and they're doing a practice pit stop there. So, taking the mediums off and onto the softs for Isaac Hadjar. Half a minute to go in this one. Max Verstappen, 14 Fs in Bahrain, are more than he's ever suffered at any other venue in his career. So, a bit of a fun fact there for Max Verstappen. This is the most he's suffered at any circuit with 7 DNFs. So, Verstappen, not a fan of the circuit. And probably won't be for a very long time until he gets a 7 race wins in a row at Bahrain. But you'd have to win 7 years in a row, and I can tell you this much, it is not that easy right here. There's degradation, there's curbs, there's barriers. It's not that easy to win 7 times in a row. Here at Bahrain, it is even harder, if anything. Verstappen, the first sector, now these tyres that he's on, they're the softer tyre. He's done 17 laps. There's going to be no improvement, I can promise you. I can promise you every buck in my bank account, there is going to be absolutely no improvement for Max Verstappen. And that is shown 4 seconds off the pace, and he's actually backed out of it. So, yeah. So, people in this session testing the degradation, and as the session goes on and the track rubbers in, the tyres start to wear out, and that is what we see or saw in this session. We saw people just doing laps, and it turned out for them to be handy because they sort of know the degradation now. And next session, it's about throwing soft tyres at it. It's also possibly about doing another race run. Testing where you feel you are strong. But Oscar Piastri, nobody seems to be improving. Oscar Piastri, though, he might just finish this section in top spots, which was the complete opposite to what it was in FP1. His teammate topped it in FP1. This time, Oscar Piastri tops it in FP2. So, not a bad start. I'm just writing this down now because Oscar, he's done 1 minute 30.3. 1 minute 30.5. And nearly 0.6 off of his teammate. Point one. Get it right. Guess it right. Well, 0.15 over his teammate. Still got Esteban Ocon to cross the line. I'm going to guess he's not going to be too far away. There you go. He does cross the line. So there you go. That session over. Done there for McLaren. It seems like they're quick once again here at Bahrain. Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Kimi Antonelli, Isaac Hadjar, Verstappen, Hamilton, Behrman, Sainz, Albon, Lawson, Bortoletto, Doohan, Alonso, Ocon, Gasly, Tsunoda, Stroll, and Nico Hulkenberg down there in P20. So, lots of debrief. And what I mean by a lot, I mean quite a bit. Because the fastest time in FP1 was a 1:33.4 for Oscar Piastri in this session, 30.5. So, quite quick. So, for Piastri, it looked like Verstappen and Russell had a bit of fun out there. So, that's Oscar just saying to his team, looks like they had a bit of fun out there. So, yeah, seems like it was quick for Oscar, but I'm not going to see, I'm surprised. Yeah, okay, so Oscar's doing a bit of a race start. Now, it's going to be a matter of 5 red lights and we go off the line, but that is it. This is what Oscar was just exclaiming about. He's two having a bit of a battle coming out of, so there you go, George Russell. They're just going by Verstappen in action, put their hand up. So, nice kind hand gesture from George Russell. There's Marcus Dudley there, the senior race engineer for Russell. But he will be seeing that data does not lie. It definitely doesn't. The times do not lie either. Here for the 75th year of the Gulf-Air Bahrain Grand Prix. 75 years we've been coming at Bahrain. Look at the tyre build-up on the outside of the circuit down there. Just dust and dirt and grunk and all that sort of stuff on the outside of the circuit. You probably won't want to be out on. But quick session from Oscar Piastri. He's quick once again. Shocker for him. P1 in FP2. So there we go. The second results, and it's fastest for Oscar Piastri in the McLaren. It is Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Kimi Antonelli up there, Isaac Hadjar in the Racing Bulls car, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Ollie Behrman, Carlos Sainz up there at the Williams. So quick for all 10 of those drivers to be up inside the top 10. It's a bit of a quality step. Alex Albon, Liam Lawson, Gabriel Bortoletto, Jack Dillon, the Aussie, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda, Lance Stroll, Nico Hulkenberg there, the German. He's up there in he's down there at P20, so a bit of head scratching from Kik Sauber, being one of the fastest cars in FP1. So there we go, that is it for FP2. I'm going to be live again for FP3 tomorrow. Let me double check that because I'm going to guess it's about 10 a.m. I'll be live from, let me just take a quick look here. I'm going to guess it's around about 10 a.m. I'm going to be live tomorrow. So let me just take a look here. We're off at 9 a.m. tomorrow, so not bad to start off the weekend. But Oscar Piastri starts the weekend off strong. That is it for me here today. I'll be back from 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for FP3. And then qualifying 2 hours later from 11 a.m. And then the next day, it's time for the Formula One Bahrain Grand Prix. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.